Trip planning part 2. Alright, y'all. Sorry about my flag. It's kind of wrinkly. I need to fix that. It's hard to keep things straight in the truck. Anyhow, I digress. What we're going to do is I have made up a run. Completely fantasy. Nothing to do with Snyder. This run is going to pick up in Alexandria, Louisiana. It's going to deliver up here in Dayton, Ohio, or in the Dayton, Ohio area, let's just say. Now, long time ago, when I first started driving a truck, we didn't have GPSs and all that, so they gave us a little ruler, and they said, when you're trip planning, take that ruler and you set it across here. Put it on one destination and on the next destination. Draw you a straight line. So as you can see, I did that. I don't have that ruler anymore, but it was a certain width, and they told us that they did not want us to go out of the width of that ruler. And let me tell you, it burnt my butt a couple times. Because in the mountains, you would have to go through some of the little red squiggly lines. And friends, unless you're delivering on that red squiggly line in the mountains, don't do it. Because some of those you don't need to be on. And it put me on there as a trainee. Yeah, I pulled a swift move, but that's what my company had told me to do. So whenever y'all are downing on these swift drivers and these trainees, just remember their company probably told them to do certain things. And that gets them in bigger of a bind than anything, because you like to think that these companies know what they're doing, that these dispatchers know what they're doing, but you think about some of these dispatchers you've met, and you know that that's probably where the biggest part of the problem is they're not having the communication and the help that's coming from the dispatchers. Now, if these big companies were smart, they would pay more and they would get some of their veteran drivers in there to be dispatchers. One of my best dispatchers was a man named James. He was an older man. He was an ex-driver. He drove for the company that I worked for before he started doing his dispatching. But sadly, Mr. James went in for a surgery and got home, sat in his recliner, and passed away in his home, in his recliner. I guess there's worse ways to go, but he was a great man. I can't say enough good about Mr. James. He would talk and conversate as long as you wanted to. Alright, now, on this route, it's similar to the one I took, let's just say that. Harvey was coming in, alright, and I had just enough time to get from my house in Mississippi over here, to get the load and stay ahead of the storm. But when I got over there to get the load, I got held up because they had to rework the load. So, woe to me. The storm caught me in Alexandria area. And I had planned to stay ahead of it by going this route because I thought the storm was going to come up this way. Lo and behold, it come more straight along that line with me, and I've been in it and I'm still in it. Alright. What's worse is whenever I hit up here at Memphis, like I said, there was a bad wreck and they had to divert us off the interstate. I lost 2 hours there. So this jumps up to 16 hours. Alright. Now, I had these two choices to make before I started the run. Now, if you'll notice, you have Memphis, we're going to have to go through anyway, right? But you got Nashville, you got Louisville, Cincinnati, and then you get up to Dayton, Ohio. If you go this way, the only big city you have to go through is Indianapolis. And I never have problems going through Indianapolis. So I should have went that way, but I was trying to save 30 miles. I should have followed my gut and went around. But I didn't, so I ended up messing myself up. When you're routing your loads, you look at the cities you got to go through, you look at the DOT stations you got to go through, you check do all your homework, because if you don't do all your homework, you're gonna end up like me this week. You know, I could have made a lot of money on this load. Now I'm not making quite so much. And I'm probably not bringing this load back. I sure as heck am not going the black route. I'm gonna go blue. Go blue, people. All right. So there it is. This one took 14 hours on the money. This one took $13.50 in ideal conditions. That calls the cities, especially if you're running daytime. So, sorry about the noise. There's a truck over yonder. Sometimes the longer route is the better route. If you can make better time and have less drama in the cities and less four-wheelers to deal with, that's why I like to travel at night. You don't have as much drama. You can plan yourself out and expect the unexpected not to rear its dirty little head. Now, second one that we're going to look at, this is a short load that I'm going to do together. These pages were out of my old book. All right. I did not rip them out my new book. This is my old book stuff, which you can tell. I wore them out. I have wore them out. We're going to go from Alexandria up here to Memphis. All right. Now, that being said, from Alexandria to the interstate, you can see there's a pretty big gap. When I schedule my loads and look at my routes, like I say, I look at the DOT stations. If you go this way, the red route, there's a DOT station here in Louisiana and one over here in Mississippi. Both of which have been known to give people a hard time. Now, this other blue route, the only DOT you hit is up here before you get into Memphis. And they're usually closed. And they have the pre-pass, so I usually don't worry about them too much. They were pulling us in yesterday, though. Alright. That's a no-no. Don't go the red route. If you go and you look at your roads in Mississippi, you can take Highway 28 out of Alexandria and come up to 84. That's where you split off. You take 84 through Natchez and come up here to Highway 28 in Mississippi. Alright. And this road is okay for heavy loads. There are some that are not, but this one is. Now you can either go this 2-lane up 28 and end up in Hazelhurst, or you can take 84 and end up in Brookhaven. That's a 4-lane road going all the way across there. No trouble on it. But this just saves you a few miles. Plus the scenery is beautiful going up through there. You got a little town named Union Church, man. You don't see places like that all the time. But if you go the red route, it's 407 miles. You got 2 DOT stations, and it takes you 6 hours and 5 minutes. Okay? If you go to blue route, it's 379 miles, which saves you a few dollars in fuel. 6 hours and 11 minutes, and that's just because Natchez can be a jerk. You know? Let's just be honest. Natchez can be a jerk, and on this other route, you get to skip Jackson because you take 220, but on the blue route, you go right up through Jackson, and there's a little bit of road construction, but nothing horrible. Now, there's roads. Let's see if I can think of one. A lot of y'all might be coming to Monticello, Mississippi, which is right over here. They have a big paper mill over there. Alright. Highway 27 is a good route. 84 is a good route. You can take 84 all the way to this other interstate, 59. 98 coming out of Macomb to 59 is a good 4-lane route. There's a lot of paper loads, all of them heavy, coming out of the Mississippi, Louisiana area. Make sure you can scale it, because if you don't, they love to ride up the paper trucks. I don't know why. We're keeping them in business, I guess. These way stations, this way station up here on the Mississippi-Alabama line, they're pretty good. They're not always open, but they do use the pre-pass. They roll you through pretty fast. But this one that's down here not marked in Mississippi, this way station way down here on mile marker 1 coming into Mississippi is a bad dude. It's a bad dude, let me tell you. You go in there bobtail, they're gonna pull you in for an inspection. They give us fits all the time. This down here in Mississippi, that's a Super Coupe. They just built it, but they haven't given me much trouble. And I never have trouble coming over here. But you have to pay attention to those way stations, because let me tell you, friends, the DOT are not your buddies. They're going to cost you money. And when they do it, they're going to do it with a smile. They're going to tell you, well, I have to. I've already called it in, or I've already talked to them, or they're always going to have an excuse why they have to do it. They'll be all friendly and friendly and friendly, but they really happy because they're writing tickets and they have undocumented quotas. That's right. Somewhere on a memo pad, how many tickets they have has been wrote down, and their bosses will be on them if they do not write them up right. All right, so let's look over this. We're going from Alexandria to Memphis. All right, you have two choices. You can go up here, it's a little bit further, and deal with the way stations. You could get a possible inspection here and a possible inspection here. They have been known to do that. They like to pull you in right here just to check your paperwork. And if anything's out of whack, you're coming back in for an inspection. This other route is 2-lane through here. And over here, 84 would be 4-lane. It would just be about, what, 15 miles, 20 miles further? Highway 84 right there would be 4-lane. But either way it goes, in my book, going the blue route is better. There's less stress, there's less DOT, there's no there's no bridges to worry about. There's no roads that have a low weight restriction. You know, that's just the way I like to do it. And if I can route around a way station or a big city, I do, because big cities, as y'all know, can really put a damper on your day. If one idiot crashes, they all crash, and then next thing you know, you're held up like I was yesterday for 2 hours. You route yourself the most effective route where you are guaranteed to make your time. But if you end up going through these big cities, like I'm got to go through Cincinnati in a little while, and it's raining. Tropical Storm Harvey has caught up with me again. In Cincinnati, I've already looked at the board and on Google Maps. There's already red coming in Florence, just south of Cincinnati. I mean, traffic's already stopped, and I got just about an hour before I got to leave. Well, this is part 2 of trip planning. Next part might be a couple days. I'm gonna try to put a string of loads together and try to help you trip plan out a tour. But also, there's going to be some coming up about how to find your locations within a city, which that can be tricky. Some roads you cannot go down. Some roads, if you go down, you're going to get rode up big time. I know a lot of y'all know everything I'm saying, and it might have better ways to do it, but this is the way I do it, and I just want to share with others. Maybe I can help them. Maybe they can help me. Who knows? I'm going to go play in the rain. God bless.